today we are delighted to have a very well-known Italian guitar luthier, Daniele Chiesa at Siccas Guitars. Hi, Daniele.
Hi.
Nice to have you here.
Yeah, nice to be here.
Thank you. And actually, I played your guitar, I think it was maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Do you know Jan Koch?
Yes.
Yeah, so she had a guitar of you and I was recording her at my music university, and it was the first time that I heard your guitar, and it was a Cedar guitar, I think,
Yes.
and I loved that tone, and I was thinking, oh, this is a great guitar. And after, when I started at Siccas, I also played some newer guitars that we received of Daniele. And Daniele or Daniele?
Yeah, Daniele.
Daniele.
Yes.
And so maybe you can, first of all, how many years are you building guitars now?
Now this year marks the 30th year that I've been making guitars from the first guitar. So it's 30 years.
Oh, 30 years. Okay.
Yeah, 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
And have you been playing guitar before, or you just decided to making guitars? Or
I decided to make guitars because I was playing guitar.
Ah, okay.
Yes. I had been playing guitar since I was 11 years old.
Ah,
more or
okay.
less.
So.
Yes, and then all the way to my 20s, and at a certain point I decided to start making guitars.
Okay.
While studying musicology, that faculty is in Cremona.
Cremona,
Yeah,
okay.
and obviously Cremona there's the violin making school.
Yeah.
So the faculty of musicology and luthiery were on the same palace back then. Now it's not like that anymore. And I got to see what they were doing, and it was very fascinating.
Yeah.
I always liked to also do things with my guitars. And one thing leads to another. I got a guitar stolen.
Okay.
And then a friend from luthiery offered me to go to his workshop and try to make myself
a guitar for yourself.
to replace the stolen guitar, making one myself. That's how it started 30 years ago.
Okay.
I did that, and then I just kept doing it.
Okay.
Obviously, they make bowed instruments in Cremona, but speaking to like the guys in the school and to the teachers, I decided to still learn the traditional violin making techniques because it seemed like they could be helpful even for guitar.
Yeah.
So the school is 4 years, and I stayed 4 years there, finished the school, and then focused completely on guitar. So it was the plan from the beginning.
Okay.
But I went through bowed instruments first to get the basics.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I wanted to ask you. Yeah, but you are not like many guitar luthiers that started with violin making, but actually you started with both instruments.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and but I think what is interesting, a lot of guitar luthiers can take some sound-wise, maybe some characteristic of a violin and cello and transmit it to guitar. For example, I don't know, long sustain, or it can be a good inspiration sound-wise. Maybe
Yes.
I don't know if it's.
Yes, but also since I had been playing guitar for more than 10 years, when I first got close to the bowed instrument world, in a way I already had my opinions and tastes developed.
How
to a
the guitar
certain
should
point.
sound.
Yeah. Yeah. Then obviously it is fascinating to see. It's probably controversial to say it regarding guitars, but we all know that in classical music, both instruments have a very deep and long tradition. So that it's also a good influence for a
Yeah.
guitar maker, because you can see how sound-wise and construction-wise you can have. It is stiffer. It's a stiffer tradition. It's not as much fun,
Yeah,
because
like
it's
it.
very square and hard. But there is a lot of value. So the same goes for guitar players.
Yeah.
You can get inspiration from classical musicians that are not guitar players, violin players, great piano players,
Yeah.
orchestra directors, to develop yourself as a musician.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's similar also for guitar making.
Yeah.
It's good to also see from close this kind of different luthier tradition.
You have been building, actually until 2 or 3 years ago, only traditional guitars, right?
Yes.
The guitar that Daniele brought us today is a double top guitar, and I have played this for the first time because I was always playing his traditional guitars. And so, why did you decide to build a double top guitar? It's the third or fourth?
Yeah, this one is the third
The
one.
third one.
Yes.
Okay.
This guitar, other than being a double top, it's also built on a different platform, I should say. So it is a different model of guitar from the traditional ones I make. And aesthetically, the differences are very small to see, but in substance, it's very different from my traditional guitars. The way I designed the structure and the way I build it, it's the culmination of many years thinking about how I could do things differently on the instruments I was making that are more traditional. But it was pointless to me before until I got a deeper feeling of a certain knowledge, and I was feeling good enough about how I got to know myself as a traditional maker.
Yeah.
So it's not just the traditional guitar. Just looking at many traditional and old guitars, you have to find your way with that kind of instrument as a maker.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it took me 18 years to focusing on traditional guitars until I felt easy building on top of that.
Yeah,
With
to do
my
another step.
with
Yeah.
a bigger contribution,
Yeah.
with a bigger personal contribution. So this platform is it contains all these things I've been thinking about and I wanted to try, and it's in development. This is a platform where I am actively working and adding different aspects one by one of how I think I can make it more personal and improve certain things that I don't completely like about the traditional guitar. But that's not just a personal opinion. It's based on these many years of banging my head against how do you do it traditionally.
Yeah, and so this is your new model, the double top with Nomex.
Yes.
Yeah, and 2 Cedar.
Yes,
tops.
this guitar and the two before that I'm trying with double top, they're all Cedar with Cedar.
Yeah.
And no mix in between.
Okay.
Yes.
And the back and sides are by Indian rosewood.
Yes, this is Indian rosewood.
And the fingerboard is also slightly elevated.
Yes.
It's not completely elevated, but it's more than enough to reach the higher positions very easily. So you said a few, before we started the interview, a few words about the rosette.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Yes, this rosette, it's made specific. I developed it specifically for this newer model, and I wanted it to represent this whole process. This whole process is taking like half of my life, so it's long and but it's also meaningful as a maker. So in order to have a reference, a physical reference to this whole process, this is made in the shape of a DNA spiral on purpose, and it's as close as possible representing that spiral. So normally I don't use colors in my guitars, in the purflings or decorations, but in this case it was very useful because I can represent the 4 different bases you have on the DNA, and they go 2 by 2, so the different colors can match on a 2 by 2 system with a longer one and a shorter one. And also, even though it was a lot of work in order to more closely represent the whole process of the DNA, every single column in the rosette is randomly picked. So it's not one tile repeating itself around the whole rosette, but every single row of a combination, I picked it randomly from a big pile I made in advance. So that's why it's...
So you needed for the rosette so much time as you needed for the whole guitar, probably.
Probably, yes.
But yeah, you can see that the work was worse. I mean, and at the same time, as my colleague Jonathan said, at the same time, it still looks like a traditional rosette. But it's the DNA spirit.
Yes, and to me it was important both things. One, that physically it can still be seen as something traditional.
Yeah.
And then the metaphorical part, that it represents the tradition as I see it. And that is similarly to how we developed as a species. Guitars also developed through tradition, through different makers, and this represents this kind of process for how I see it.
Yeah.
So to me was finding teachers to learn from and develop on top of their work, specifically in Granada, because it's one of the few places where you still have a live tradition. By that I mean a group of makers, not just one, that all of them learned before from a group of makers in the same place, uninterrupted. So that's why I decided in 2002, so that's 22 years ago, to settle there.
Yeah.
So that's the process of learning from this environment, being just only one of the many in this ecosystem, and then just add whatever you can. It's a small part that you add yourself, and then that part try to move it on younger people. So that's also why sometimes I have apprentices, and I try to convey these visions to them also, because that's how I hope our profession, that I value a lot, will be able to develop healthy in the future. It's a vision of future. So that's more or less what the whole design is trying to represent.
Yeah, this is such
where
a
we
great
come from
idea.
and where I hope we can get. Beside myself, obviously. Later on.
Yeah, great. Wow. So I would say I will play a few tones on it, and then we will see how the guitar sounds.
That's also quite important, I think.
It shouldn't be underestimated. Yeah. What a sustain. I have so many things to say about the sound. First of all, for a double top guitar, it has a very long sustain. Because the fact is, a lot of double top guitars have a very fast response. The tone is boom, and then it's dead.
Yes.
So in this case, and it's also very well balanced. So every tone, same loudness. But beside of that, the tone color is still traditional. It's like a Spanish guitar. It's so good. Congrats. This is a.
Thank you.
This
very
is
much.
This is like your traditional guitar. I feel a bit more power and openness because of the construction of the top, probably Nomex, and
Yes, the top itself has many characteristics, very similar to a normal solid top.
yeah.
So when I make these Cedar double tops, I compare them with solid Cedar tops at the same time.
Okay.
I still, since they're new and a new development, I still want to compare it with the standards I've been working with in the last 20 years. So I make them side by side with solid Cedar tops. And many of the parameters I normally control in tops repeat on these tops.
Okay.
Thickness, stiffness, the first vibrating modes, and what changes is weight. The main parameter that is different from the regular guitar I make, the traditional one, it's the weight of the top. Obviously the construction is different, but it translates mostly in changing weight.
Okay.
And specifically because this is made, the Nomex is two wings here and here. This part, I don't use Nomex in this part.
Okay.
My way of looking at the guitar is to isolate this lower part from the upper part.
Okay.
I know obviously that many makers see things differently. Some try to maximize the surface, the vibrating surface of the top, so you can have bridges in this crossbar to have braces moving vibration up on this part. I know some double top makers have Nomex up here also. That's not in this case.
Okay.
So roughly speaking, since you have a glue layer between the two tops, even if you try to make it as thin as possible, it tends to add a little bit of weight. So this top is overall lighter than a solid top, but in the lower part, that is what I personally use as the main driver for the sound production, on that part is about 20% lighter than a regular top.
Okay.
So the top itself is probably 5 to 10% lighter than a solid one, with same thickness and stiffness.
Yeah.
But the lower part, it's actually about 20% lighter.
Lighter. Okay. So that is making the difference.
Yes.
Probably.
On one side, it maintains many things of the traditional character, like the colors and these kind of things.
Yeah.
On the other side, it enables a certain power. It's not just power by itself. But the way you can produce a sound. So, and it was interesting because we didn't talk about it before. So it was just your reaction trying the guitar. speaking about sustain, for example,
Yeah.
that's one of the specific things I've been working on, both on the top itself and on the construction of the inside,
Yeah.
to try to still have very
Have
good
that-
sustain,
keep that, yeah.
even with a double top.
Yeah.
Because same goes with the bridges. You can use a much lighter bridge and it's still not going to break apart. It works. But if it's too light, then you gain something, quickness of response and this kind of aggressive response when you pluck it, but then you start to lose sustain, so
Yeah.
you have to balance things out. And to me it's important, if the double top can give me a bit more volume, I don't strive to get as much as possible of this volume.
Yeah.
I want to balance it with everything else.
Yeah.
Same goes, also it was nice to see that you can appreciate that the way the different voices can
Yeah.
stay separated and clear. That's also one of the priorities with this kind of instrument.
Yeah.
So it's a bit curious to talk about a double top and then say I'm looking for the things that are not specific to a double top.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, but you were able to increase for example, the power and response of a traditional guitar with double top guitar. I want to play more on it.
Yes.
So it invites you also to be played somehow.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Is resonating so well, it's singing. Another piece. What I also notice is the guitar gives me the feeling that I'm in control of everything. Every voice works how I want, and there are no surprises. Suddenly, a tone which is louder than the other. It's like I can conduct the strings very well, and this is
that's one of the things that is a bit parallel to the sustain aspect we were talking about before. And it's sometimes it can be a problem with a light double top construction that is very boomy and loud, where you completely lose control of the homogeneous tone production throughout.
Yeah.
So as you say, you can find a note that you have to learn how to control it.
Yeah.
And you know when you get there, be careful. Want to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think that can be a problem for the player. So it's very important to try and not fall in these things.
Exactly, and this is, as I said, it gives me or to the player a very comfortable feeling. Also the shape of the neck, so everything is working so good. I mean, I didn't expect anything else. When I heard, okay, Daniele Chiesa is coming, and I know, okay, I'm going to do an interview and trying his guitar, and but I'm a bit surprised because I didn't expect this kind of sound. I heard Doubletop and I had an imagination in my head,
Yes.
and this is traditional with
See,
power.
the double top guitar has been very popular for many years now. It's not something very new, but at the same time, it's something I haven't had the desire to make, because many double top guitars that I've seen and heard are not quite the kind of guitar I strive to make.
Yeah.
So I finally started also trying to make these kind of guitars, to confront myself with this kind of construction. Tired of criticizing other instruments, because I understand, like lattice bracing, for example, I haven't made one yet, and I feel even less desire to try it so far. Maybe I will in the future, but again, because they can work extremely well for a maker, for a player, but as a maker, as an individual maker, you have to have your own taste and ideas and develop them in a meaningful way and a consistent way. That's also very important to me. That's why I focused 18 years. It's not just to learn a tradition, but to be very consistent.
Yeah,
because that's the only way you can really find your voice and find who you can be as a guitar maker.
You have to stay calm, I think, for a long time. Yeah,
it's difficult. That's the most difficult part, and it's most difficult the younger you are.
Yeah,
obviously.
I want to make a guitar with open side and cut here and
and some resonating strings somewhere.
Yeah, there are so many things that you could do. Yeah. So, so once again, congrats for this amazing guitar. I really like it. If you have the opportunity, come to Siccas and try it. I guess the guitar will be already gone, but this is a great instrument. And thanks for your time.
Well, thank
to
you
visit
very
us.
much.
Hopefully we will be able to see you next time with another guitar.
I hope so.
It's a long distance, of course. He's coming from Spain. You're living in
Malaga province,
Malaga,
in a small town near Malaga.
Yeah, so it's not like 100 kilometers from Karlsruhe. It's a long way, but so let us know what you think about the sound of this guitar, brand new, made by Daniele Chiesa. It's a double top model with a traditional sound, and the power of a double top guitar is a very impressive guitar. And see you in a bit.